Hi guys. Just gonna wait for a couple people to join in here if we have anybody. I'm not gonna wait that long. It's not quite 7 o'clock yet, so. Oh, hi Pam. So I'll just start off with what we're gonna need. So for any type of help or any type of aids today, we're going to be using either blocks, and if you don't have yoga blocks, what works really good is tins. Now, the best ones are the pasta tins because they're a bit taller than these, but tins will work if you don't have yoga blocks at your disposal. The other thing that you will need is a blanket or a big towel, right? And so then we'll have it and we'll roll it all up. Rolled up. Okay, roll it all up, like so. And we don't need that for a while. That's near the end, but if it's ready and you have it, we have a moment now. If you need to run and get those things, I'll give you a minute, because I don't think it's even 7 o'clock yet. Yeah, it's not quite 7, but... Okay. Well, we're just going to start. Okay, so as I just mentioned, no one else is coming on yet, so we're good. Okay, so some points that I need to mention before I start. I am not completed my certification process. I have an exam weekend and 1 weekend after that left before I'm fully certified. So this is about me practicing, and then people can join me while I'm practicing teaching. I was practicing teaching in my own space up until the whole illness thing that's gone on, and so now I'm not allowed to have people in, and so this was a way that I could connect with the people that were coming to my classes. You need to listen to your own body, so it doesn't matter what I'm doing. If you try to do what I'm doing and it hurts, you need to stop. Okay, so there's feeling a stretch, there's different feelings that your body will have, but pain is not going to be one of them, and if you have any pain, you need to stop, okay? If you've never done yoga in your whole life ever, I'm not sure if doing it with me is really the best idea, but it's up to you, but it's your responsibility. If you have not had your doctor say that you're okay to exercise and you've never exercised and you're trying to do this, that wouldn't be very good on your part. This is not being charged for. There's no trade-off. This is just this is just me sharing an experience with you guys. So whatever works for you. Just keep in mind, to follow the easiest way to do it if it's new. And make sure you have a safe space. That's something we talked about in our training, because we had training last weekend. And, make sure your coffee table is not in the way, and make sure that the floor is level. And, that's your job to make sure that you're in a safe space, because you're not in my space. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay? So we're going to go into... all right, so I'm just going to do some reading. So what is yoga? In the simplest of terms, it is taking the time to connect and give your body some much needed time and attention. So everyone can start laying on your back with your legs either straight or bent, whatever is most comfortable. So please put your head closest to the screen where you're watching me and point your feet away from me. And lying on your back with your arms like out to the side, it's called corpse pose. It's to be relaxing. Now if you have your legs straight and it arches your back and your back is like... then just bend your knees and put your feet flat on the floor. Okay? Alrighty. So let's take a few moments in this position. And just let your body melt into the floor. Take in a nice deep breath and blow it out slowly. Continue to focus on your breath and melting into the floor. While you're doing that, I would like you to think about, for a moment, about your body. Yes, your body, the meat suit that houses your soul while you're here on earth. You don't often think of it as separate from yourself, however, it is only your temporary home. I find we demand very much of these meat suits with little or no love or appreciation given. With this in mind, as you lay here, melting into the floor and tuning into your nice, calm breath, I would like you to check into your body and see where there is any tightness or pain. Think about the parts that you just use all the time and expect them to just keep working with little or no rest. On your next inhale, I would like you just to say thank you to your body. Appreciate all the ways that it is here for you every day. Then, I would like you to think about those stiff and uncomfortable bits, and as you inhale, send them love and gratitude. Take a few moments here, and on each inhale, send love and gratitude to all your achy bits and any other parts of your body that you neither like or appreciate. We are going to invite in some gentle movements now, like slowly rocking your head from side to side. So let your head turn to one side, and then slowly let it turn to the other side. But the trick here, and what I'd like you to focus on, is getting in tune with your breath. So as you come across, so inhale, and then exhale as you come back. If that's too quick for you, you can hold it to one side on an inhale, and then exhale through the movement, and take another breath on that side. So you can do a breath per movement and hold it, or just inhale as you go to one side and exhale as you go to the other. Just take your time and connect your movement to your breath. Now from here, we're going to put our feet on the floor. And if they're not there already, you have a choice and you can change it. You have the choice and you can change it depending on how you feel, how far apart you have your feet as you gently windshield wiper your legs from side to side. So, putting down the paper now. So have your knees are bent, your feet are flat on the floor. So let your knees just go as far to one side as is comfortable, and then bring them back and go as far to the other side that is comfortable for you. So what that means is you're not going to push it too far, so you're going to, and connect your breath, right? So from one side, inhale over to the other side, hold and exhale here, and then when you come back on a breath, and then you can hold on that breath. Or you can inhale as you go over, and then exhale as you come back. Whatever is most comfortable for you. So just give yourself the space, and let's just explore windshield wipering our legs. Now with your feet, you can play with your feet. You can have your feet touching each other, or you can have your feet wide apart. You can put your feet further away from your body or bring them closer to your bottom. And that's a good idea to try all those different, try all the different foot positions, and just take the time to just gently explore getting some movement into your hips. Alrighty, the next time your knees come up to center, so your knees are pointing at the ceiling, I would like you to keep them there. So feet on the floor, lower body is relaxed. And from here, I would like to take your arms that are resting nicely at your sides and just inhale and lift them up overhead. And then exhale and then bring them back down by your sides. So inhale and lift your arms up, and exhale and bring them back down. Now you're doing this as you're lying on your back on the floor, so you don't have to worry about if your hands touch the floor above your head or not. If they do, they do, and if they don't, they don't. It doesn't matter. But we're just going to be connecting our breath. So inhaling up and exhaling down. There you go. So just keep staying with your breath, and just have a few more rounds here. Just slowly getting some movement into those shoulders. On your next inhale, as you come up and your hands are pointed straight up to the ceiling, I would like you to take your opposite hand to the opposite elbow. Now, if you're like me and you're busty, then you can take your hands to your wrists. But what we're going to do here is we're going to make nice circles with our elbows. So take your elbows and just make circles. So we're just exploring different movements of our shoulders as we warm up to prepare for class. So same thing, just stay tuned with your breath. So inhaling and exhaling. So you can do like a figure 8, or you can go up and you can go down. You can go from one side, you can go to the other side, but just explore some gentle movements throughout your shoulders and just create some blood flow in there and getting that region warmed up. Good job. Okay. Next time you come back by center line, I want you just to come back to elbows to hands and hands to elbows. And from here, we're going to add back into the windshield wipering of the legs. So we're going to let the legs, say, go to the right side, and the arms are going to go to the left side. But just as far as is comfortable, and the same rules apply. I want you to stay tuned to your breath. So inhale as you let the knees go to one side and the arms go to the other. Now if you want, you can hold it there for the exhale or come back the other way. Just take a few moments here and just explore these movements together and just staying focused on your breath. I find one side usually feels tighter than the other, so on one of these times, if you're doing single breaths as you turn side to side, then maybe you'll take one side and you'll stay over here for the exhale as well, and then maybe come over and maybe stay over on the other side. But just give yourself the space to explore this movement. Alrighty, next time your arms and your legs are at the center line, you can stop and put your arms down at your side. Take your right arm and lift it up over your head and roll onto your right side. So your knees are bent and you're lying on your side like you're in fetal position. And from here, I would like you to take your top hand and use it to push the earth away and come up to a sitting position. Now we're going to go into the movements that is called cat-cow. I always teach it cow-cat, but whatever. So we're going to start in a position called table. So table is basically you're on your hands and knees. Your feet can be curled under or they can be flat, whatever works for you. And what you're going to do here, though, is we're going to get a nice strong table to start. So I want you to engage your armpits, right? I want you to turn your arms so that the creases on your arms at the front are facing straight ahead of you. Your hands are firmly planted beneath your shoulders. Your knees are below your hips. Now from here, we're going to go into cow stretch. So cow is an arch of your back and a lift of your head on the inhale. And then as you exhale into cat, you tuck that pelvis under, drop that head. Inhale. Cow with that arch back, head up, and then exhale. Turn that pelvis in, arch that back, and into your cat. So do it on your own breath. So take your time, inhaling into cow, and then exhaling into cat. So continue on your own breath. So if you breathe slower or quicker, whatever is most comfortable to you, just keep on it and I'll... You like to take a little bit of time with this one because this one does feel so good. It is such an area that just could use so much work, and it's really good for your low back. All right, so what we're going to do now is on your next inhale into cow, then you're going to go back into your cat, but then you're going to go back into child's pose. So child's pose is when you come right down over your legs, like so. Now inhale up to your cow, exhale into your cat, but you're going to keep moving back into child's pose, okay? Inhale, cat, exhale, or cow, exhale back into cat, into child's, okay? So just adding that movement, it's the same amount of breath, so it's a little bit quicker. So inhale up into your cow, exhale back into your cat and then to child's, and then out of child's to cow. So spend a few more moments in there. And then we're going to add on to that. I'm going to change it up a little bit. Okay. Alrighty. The next time you go back into child's pose, I'd like you to land there. So I want you to stay. Now, when you get there, what you can also do is you can take your knees further apart. And then as you reach your hands out in front, if you have a block, you can also put your forehead on that block if you like. And just kind of get a little bit of support here for your neck and reach your hands forward. I don't recommend doing that with a tin. I would use the blanket as opposed to the tin. Otherwise, you're going to have tin lines on your forehead. But anyway, so just take this time here and reach those hands out. Now, this may or may not feel good. Some people think this feels wonderful and other people despise it. So it's your body is your body. So but what we're going to do here is we're going to walk our hands over to one side. And this is to feel the stretch through that side body. Okay? So just hold it over here. Keeping breathing. Now we're going to walk our hands over to the other side. Once again, focusing on your breathing and focus on that side body stretch down the side. Good job. Walk your hands back to center, back over to this side. You could sink down a little bit more, maybe even reach that hand a little further away if it's in your practice. Walk your hands back to center. And then one more time on this side, reaching it over. Feeling that nice stretch in your side body. And bringing it back to center. Now from here, we're going to come back to table. So once again, knees are right below your hips and your hands are right below your shoulders. You're going to engage your armpits, and those armpits of power, as they call them. The creases at the front of your arms are pointing forwards. And from here, we're going to start doing a very gentle open twist. So you just lift the one elbow up as you inhale, and then exhale and place that hand down. Now the opposite side, inhale, pull the elbow up, and exhale, and relax that hand down. And keep going, just inhale, and exhale. Now if it's in your practice, as you inhale and you bring the elbow up, you do have the option to bring that hand up, but this is also perfectly awesome without doing that. There's no need to reach up unless you feel like you need to. If it feels good enough with just bringing that elbow up, which it certainly can, then just do that. Good job. So staying in tune with your breath, right? So doing it on your own time. As you inhale, bring it up, and exhale, press your hands back down to the floor. And up, and down. One more time on each side, and then we're going to invite another movement in, where it's called threading the needle. So this time, we're going to lift the elbow up, and then as we come down, we're going to put our hand behind the opposite arm, sit back a little bit, almost child's posey, and then child's pose-like, and then just try to get a little bit of a stretch here in the shoulder, right? So you don't want it to be super intense here. You just want to feel some relaxation through that shoulder. You want to feel the stretch if your body is willing to do that for you right now. So we just hold our hand out and just relax here for a moment. Whew. And then bring that arm back up. So reset your nice strong table, right? And then the opposite arm, and bring that elbow up. And then thread that hand behind the other hand, and then sink back a little bit on your hips. Sink back a little bit. And then you can just kind of put your upper body down as much as is comfortable, just until you feel a bit of a shoulder stretch.
We're not going crazy here, just a nice, gentle shoulder stretch. All right, bring it back up to our table. Good job. So now we're going to transition. Now sometimes we're going to always be doing the same thing, but I'll be facing you and not facing you, and you're going to stay in the same position. So don't worry about it if I'm turning, because you don't have to turn. I'm only turning so that you can see me better. So we're back in table, and so what we're going to do is we're transitioning to standing. So how we do this is we take our feet, we curl our toes under, and from here we just lift our knees off the floor. And then I'd like you to push on your hands to push the floor away from you. And then you could let your head drop a little bit. And then from here, we're just going to walk our feet towards our hands, or hands towards our feet, to come up into a standing position. Now, if none of that works for you, whatever you need to do. If you need to use the couch, whatever. But once you get to a standing position, then we'll move forward from there. Alrighty. So we're going to start with mountain pose. So mountain, also known as Tadasana, is our feet are hip width apart, and you want to be pushing all four corners of your feet into the floor. You're fully engaging the legs. So the calves feel strong, the thighs are squeezing, your glutes are tucked, your core is in, your ribs are down, your shoulders are back, your chest is lifted, your chin is down, and the top of your head is pushing towards the ceiling. Okay, we add the arms. These are called receiving arms. And here is where we're receiving arms, and this is mountain pose. So just stand here for a moment. Now from here, what we're going to do is we're going to do some forward fold flow. So first I'm going to teach you forward flow. So in order to do that, I need to stand sideways. So you stay where you are. It's exactly the same thing. So we're going to inhale, reach our hands up. And then as we exhale, we're just going to bring our hands down. And we're going to just, hinging at the hip, we're just going to come to where you can feel a little bit of a stretch in the back of the leg. And right here is perfectly fine. This is a great forward fold. You can go, if you can go a little deeper, that's okay too, but I don't want this. We're not going down super low. So we're going to keep it up relatively strong and high. So from here, I would like you to engage your pelvic floor, which means, squeeze all the muscles where you go pee. And then as you inhale, bring arms up into the nice tall mountain. Exhale, reach for the ceiling. And then on your next exhale, we're going to bring that down into a nice little semi-forward fold. Okay? And then inhale, reach up. Exhale, a little bit of a back bend. Just look up at the ceiling. Reach for the ceiling. And then exhale down again into your forward fold. Good job. One more time. Inhale, squeeze your pelvic floor where you go pee. Inhale up. And reach. And exhale. Good job. Now from here, I'm going to turn, face you. And we are going to go into tree pose. So tree pose is another one. We just start with a nice base of mountain pose. So in mountain pose, four corners of the feet are pressed to the floor. The legs are engaged, the core is engaged, the ribs are down, the shoulders are back, the chest is lifted, right? Your crown of your head is pointing at the ceiling and your hands are just going to go out to the side. Now, from here, we're going to take your right foot and we're going to bend the knee, and then we're just going to gently just lean it against the other leg. Now, if it's in your practice today and you're familiar with this particular pose, you can always take your leg up higher. But for all intensive purposes, we're just going to have that foot with the feet, toes on the ground, heel resting against the opposite leg. So with a strong mountain pose base, we're pushing up with the crown of our head and we're balancing. Okay? So if it's in your practice, you can add prayer hands or you can grow branches on your tree. Whatever feels the most comfortable for you. But as you do this, I'd like you just to find a spot on the floor to just gently gaze at, and that will help you with your balance. So staying connected to your breath, and relax it down. So just shake out those legs. Shake them out. Good job. So now we're going to go and do the other side. So same thing. So engaging, we're full mountain. Okay, remember that? So legs, belly, shoulders, chest, chin, head. Got all the components there. Now with your left foot, all right, so with your left foot, same thing. You're just going to gently put the toes still on the floor and just lean the heel against the bottom of your calf. And if it's in your practice, you can go higher, but we're going to start here, okay? And from here, if this is where you are, just find a spot on the floor to gaze at to help you stay in your balance. And you have the option that you can have prayer hands, or you can put branches on your tree. But keep that pelvis in, keep it tucked in, keep your core engaged, ribs down, and just hold your just work on your balance. Because balance is a skill. Balance isn't something that I just have bad balance. No, balance is something that you have to work on. So this is working on our balance. All right. Good job, guys. So shake it out. Woo-hoo. Woo-hoo. Now from here, we're going to do a little fierce pose. We're going to do a little chair. So we're going to reset that sacrum by just hinging at the hips and sitting back into an invisible chair. Okay? Now if you would like to add a little more to it, you can put your hands out or you can have your hands in your legs. That's perfectly okay. So just sit here for just a moment. All right. And then we're going to come back up. Good job. All right. So our next one we're going to do is called eagle. Now, we're going to do a modified eagle because normal eagle arms look like this. Okay? If your arms and shoulders don't do that, then don't worry about it. We're just going to take one hand to the opposite shoulder on both shoulders, and then we're going to put our legs quite close together, and we're going to just take our one toe and put it over the other foot. So we're going to cross the right leg over the left leg. Okay? Now from here, we are going to do the same thing as we did with the chair. We're going to sit down into an invisible chair, but we are going to try to keep our spine straight, and we're going to lift those elbows up a little bit, and we're going to squeeze our thighs together, all while balancing. So squeeze the thighs, keep those elbows up, but don't be cranking on your neck. Make sure that your neck is comfortable, but just sinking a little deeper into that chair. There you go. And when you're ready, just bring it back up and shake those arms out, shake up the legs. Good job. All right. Same thing with the other side. So I have great memory, so I'm pretty sure that's the opposite. So opposite hands to opposite shoulders, the opposite of what you had last time. Now take the opposite foot in front of the opposite leg, squeezing your thighs together, keeping your elbows up but not cranking on your neck, and slowly sit back into that chair. Just like we did in Fierce. So we're sitting back in a chair, but now we're squeezing our thighs together and trying to lift those elbows up a little bit as we balance. Oh. Woo! I've got a speed wobble today. All right, and when you're ready, inhale. Awesome. Good job, guys. All right, so that was your eagle. Now, from here, we're going to do another forward fold. So we're going to take an inhale up. And then as we exhale, we're going to bring those elbows down. And then here, we're going to just keep our hands on our legs. We're not going to go super deep, but we're just going to get a nice little forward fold so we just feel that nice release in the back of the hamstrings. All right, and from here, bend those knees a little bit and then stand up nice and strong, reaching for the ceiling. Good job. So our next move is going to be our runner's lunge. And this is where you'll need your tins. Now you can use tins or you can use blocks. I guess I'll demonstrate with tins again. Just because, you know, we're all on this together. So, put your tins back by where your hips are going to be. And we're going to come back down into tabletop position. So if we're at tabletop position, okay, and the tins are by your hips, that's perfect because we're not going to use them just yet. So let's take our right leg and step it forward. Step the right leg forward. Now when we do this, though, we want to have it out. See how my knee is here and my toes out further? We want to have that toe out a little bit further because what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be leaning into that front knee. So But before we do that, we're going to engage some muscles. We're going to engage our core, we're going to squeeze our butts, and then we're going to squeeze the hamstring on this bottom leg, and then we're going to lean into that knee. Okay? So as you lean into that knee, you're opening up this back leg. But this way just has, you'll feel this more into the groin almost when you've engaged those muscles previously. There you go. Now you can push back a little bit, take a little break, whew, and then sink down again. Sink down into that knee. Just take that space. All those muscles engaged. Good job. All right, so now we're going to come back, and as we come back, whoop, we're going to lift the toes of that opposite foot. And we're going to reach down and use our tins for balance. And while hinging only from the hip, we're going to stretch out our hamstring here. So as we do this, we just use the tins or the blocks for balance, by keeping those toes, the foot flexed, just leaning forward a little bit until you feel that stretch in the back of that hamstring. So the back of the leg at the top. Into your butt probably a little bit too. Okay, so that was great. So now we're going to bring that knee back, and we're going to be back in table for a moment. And then we're going to bring the opposite foot forward. So same difference. So opposite forward, foot forward. So my knee is here. Notice how my foot is a fair bit ahead of me. Okay, so what we're going to do here again, we're going to engage that core. We're going to squeeze the glutes. We're going to squeeze the hamstring on the front leg. And then we're just going to push into that. We're going to just lean forward into that knee. And this is to ultimately stretch out the opposite hip, the front of the hip that's back. Okay, so if you have your core engaged, you'll definitely feel this in a much more intense way than if you felt it, than if you do it just going into it without having any intent with your muscles. Either way is not bad. Just this way I find is a little bit more intense. But it just means you just can't go as far, and that's not so bad. So ease off it for a moment. Take a little breather there. And then sink back down into that knee again. Good job. Sinking into that knee. All right, now pushing back, you're going to lift the toes of that foot that's extended, on the leg that's extended. And then you could reach down and use your blocks or your tins for a little bit of support. And then you're bending just from your hip. So you're hinging at your hip just to get a bit of stretch in the back of this leg. So just take your time. Having that foot flex can make it very intense. So if it's a little bit too hard, then you can let it hang a little bit. That's not the end of the world. If you're like up here with your foot flexed and you can barely move at all, relaxing that foot a little bit, it's not the worst thing ever. But just see what you need to do and how your body feels, right? Because it's all about how your body feels, not how my body feels, right? Oh, all right, good job. So now from here, we'll push this knee back. Don't throw your tins all over the place. All right, so from here, we're going to go back into our tabletop, curl those toes under, lift the knees off the mat, push the floor away, dropping the head, and then we're just going to walk our hands towards your feet and our feet towards your hands, or vice versa, until we come back up to a standing position. Yay! I never remember to bring myself a drink. Darn it. All I have is Crystal Skull water, and I don't really want to go into a meditative state right now. So. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is Warrior 1 into Warrior 2. So I'm going to face you for this one, but I'm going to come forward. So what you're going to do is, standing with your feet hip-width apart, I want you to take your right leg back, a general stride. So it's like a foot and a half, maybe 2 feet, or no, about a foot and a half between your feet from the back of your heel to the front of your toe, depending on how long your legs are, of of course, right? So your hips are pointed forward, right? The back leg is slightly askew, so your toes are pointing to the front corner of your mat. And from here, you can either put your hands like on your hips and hold your shoulders back, chest lifted, and head is pointed up at the ceiling, okay? And then you just sink into that front knee. By keeping that, as you're doing this, you want to engage the back leg as well as you're sinking into the front knee. Now, if you need to put your foot out a little bit further, because if your knee is really coming out past your toes, you might want to reel that in a little bit. If it's in your practice, you can add the Warrior One arms, which are straight up, which I find is nice to help keep my spine straight, but it can also make me really tired. So it just depends on how you feel today. So, all right. So when you're ready, we're going to straighten that front leg. And now we're going to go into Warrior Two. Now from here, you're going to heel toe that back leg back, right? So I'm going to be standing sideways now to demonstrate. So you're going to take a big stride this time, right? So in Warrior One, you were like a normal stride. Warrior Two, you're going to be significantly further apart. And here, I would like you to have the heel of your front foot lined up roughly with the arch of your back foot. So you're on a single track, but your hips are still pointed forward, okay? Now from here, we're going to keep those shoulders back, chest lifted, crown pointed at the ceiling, and then we're just going to bend into that front knee. Now you might have to make it wider, because you don't want this knee to be like coming out past your toes too much. So arms here, you can have your arms on your hands and on your hips, or you can add traditional Warrior One arm or Warrior Two arms. This is relatively strenuous, so don't worry about it if it feels a little bit too much. You can just put your hands back on your hips, sink into that knee, and keep connected to that breath. And you can push back, take a little break, and since we're not going to do Exalted today, we're just going to go back, we're going to keep it here. We'll just sink right back down again. Pushing away with the back foot, pushing into the front knee, holding those shoulders back, chest lifted, keeping that upper spine straight. If you even just put your arms up for a moment, you can kind of get an idea what the rest of your spine is supposed to feel like, and then you can lower your hands back down. All right, from here, straighten that front leg and step to the end of your mat. And shake it out. Woo-hoo. Good job, guys. All right, so going into Warrior One again on the opposite side. So you're in mountain pose, feet are hip width apart. Left leg is going to step back, just a normal stride, and the toes are going to be out just a little bit so they're pointing towards the corner, front corner of your mat. Now from here, shoulders lifted, shoulders back, chest lifted, core is engaged, and your crown is always pushing up towards the ceiling. So we're going to sink into that front knee, sinking into that front knee. Now you can put your hands on your hips and try to help get that spine nice and straight. If it's in your practice, you can try Warrior One arms, see how that feels for you. And if it doesn't feel good, just put them back down here. It's all good. Just do what you need to do. It's your practice. Sinking into this knee. Good job. Holding. And now we're going to come back, straighten that leg, and we're going to go into our Warrior Two on this side. So same thing. You're still facing the same way. I'm just moving so the ease of you to see what's going on. So we have a nice wide stance here. The front foot is your toes are pointing to the end of the mat, and your back foot is parallel to the edge of the mat. You're on a single track, so roughly your heel and your arch of your foot are roughly in a line. Your hips are pointed forward, okay? Shoulders back, chest lifted, pushing that crown into the ceiling, and now you can sink into that front knee a little bit. Now, see, I'm creeping forward because I don't like my knee coming out past my toes, and you also don't want your knee to flop inwards either. So you want to look down, you want to see your knee, and then you'd like to see your toes. Ideally, but everybody's body's different, right? Now you can always try the Warrior Two arms to see how that feels for you, or sink a little deeper, whichever you like. And then just, if you come back down, just try to keep that spine engaged in that nice, upright, strong position as though you had your hands out. Because, yeah, just whatever works for your practice today. Good job. All right. We're going to hang on to it just a little bit longer, sink in a little bit more if it's in your practice. If not, you can straighten that front leg whenever you want. Okay, when we're ready, we're going to straighten that front leg. Oh, good job. Step to the end of your mat and give her a shake. Good job. Awesome. Okay. Oh, my mat's crooked. Like that really matters. But anyway, our next pose we're going to do is called Goddess. Now, for Goddess, we're going to have a wide stance. Not crazy wide, but there's my hips. So, a fair bit wider than hip width apart. And from here, we're going to have our toes kind of point towards the corners of the room. Now, I have a tendency not to show arms when it's a multi-level, or just kind of show you them for a moment. In Goddess, I find it's kind of important because what we're going to do is we're going to sink down, right? But I want that pelvis tucked under, okay? So that pelvis is tucked under. Your shoulders are back. The upper body is quite straight as you sink down into the squat. So when you add Goddess arms, okay, these are Goddess arms, this really helps keep your spine straight. So if you can manage keeping this here, that is awesome. And if not, don't worry about it. And if you ever need to just stand up and take a break, go for it, okay? So just hold this here if you're able for a few more breaths. And then next we can stand up straight. A few more or one. All right, we're going to do it one more time. And then the next time we do it, we're going to do a little exercise to release our neck, jaw, and tongue. Because I know it's been a very stressful world lately. If you're grinding your teeth or biting your tongue, as the case may be. So we're going to do all the same things, but then in honor of one of my favorite Hindu goddesses who's often portrayed with her tongue sticking out, we are going to add, how do I describe it? I'm just going to show you. So you stick your tongue out and you go, so really stick it out and go, okay? So when you do that, a lot of times my jaw just goes, it's like, oh, that feels so nice. So anyway, so let's go back to our Goddess position. So get that spine nice and straight, tuck that pelvis under, sink down into that nice wide-legged squat, arms out to the sides, and then 3 times we're going to do this tongue thing. So we're going to inhale to prepare, and then and inhale. One more time. Good. All right, so have her come back up. Good job. It feels funny, but it feels really good in my neck and my jaw and my tongue. So, alrighty. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to come back to a seated position. So seated position on the floor. Okay. So this is when I'm going to have to show you both ways. So you're going to have your legs outstretched in front of you, and you can have one leg either bent like this or out to the side, okay? But it's important that I show you from the side because the most important part of this is having a nice straight spine, and then take your extended leg, because only one leg is going to be extended in front of you. So you're going to focus on looking at those toes. Keep that spine straight, chest lifted, and then hinging only from the hip. You're just going to bend forward just a little bit until you feel a nice little stretch in the back of your leg. Okay, because this is a one leg seated forward fold. So keeping those toes flexed, keeping the spine straight, bending only at the hip, reaching for your toes with your heart at the most. Okay, and just feel that release. Good job. All right, and coming back up to sitting up straight. Now extend that leg and then take the other leg in. Same difference. So you're going to have one leg is out to the side or bent if that's within your range of motion. The front leg is stretched out, foot flexed. So I would like you to make sure that that upper body, your whole core is engaged and up nice and tall, pushing your crown up towards the ceiling. And here, we're going to inhale, and then we're going to hinge only from the hips. Hinging only from the hips, keeping that spine straight, reaching with our heart towards our toe, keeping the chin up, and just feel a nice little stretch, hopefully, in the back of your hamstring. You might feel it more in your hip, and you could possibly feel it in your low back. You could possibly feel it in your calves as well. But just take a moment here. Settle back into your breathing. And just feel that stretch in the back of the leg and other areas. Good job. All right, sitting back up straight. Now we're going to do the same thing for our proper seated forward fold. So with our seated forward fold, our legs are extended, the toes are flexed, upper body nice and tall. Imagine sometimes like there's a little hook on the top of your head and there's a rope. So you're keeping that spine very nice and long, pushing your head to the ceiling. And then once again, only hinging at your hip, reaching with your heart just a little bit towards those toes. You're not reaching with your hands, just your heart, keeping your chin up, and just feel a nice stretch through the back of both of the legs, possibly your low back, possibly your calves as well. Just take a moment here. Good job. All right, release it back up. Oh, there you go. Kind of shake it out a little. Okay, so now we're going to do our core bit. Our core bit is going to be modified boat. And for our modified boat, we're going to lie flat in our back. And now you can bring your legs up on a 90-degree angle. Now, if your back arches, you need to bring your knees closer to your body. Now, if your back hurts or your back arches, and this is still not good, and even if you bring them to here and it's still not good, this is a perfectly awesome place for your feet to be. So don't beat yourself up if that doesn't work for you, but I'll do it down here as well. I really felt this last time. I was like, holy moly. So all we're going to do is we're just going to take our hands and put them on the tops of our thighs. Okay? So while we're here, all we're going to do is we're going to inhale. And then as we exhale, we're going to engage our core and we're going to push our legs away as we do not allow our legs to move. So resist against yourself. Keep your head on the floor, shoulders down, engaging, 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 and release. Oh. Now we can grab those knees, give them a little hug, maybe roll it out a little bit. Hopefully that made sense. I'll break it down again because I know I got a little weird there for a minute. So take both feet flat on the floor, knees bent, hands on top of the legs. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to engage our core and then we're going to be pushing our legs away as we do not allow our legs to move. So inhaling to prepare. And then exhale, engage that core and push, 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 push. Keep breathing, but push and push and push. Engaging and release. Oh, good job. So once again, we're going to bring those knees up. Maybe roll out the low back a little bit. Good job. And now, stay there. I believe we're going to do our figure four. Now, the figure four isn't the easiest thing to demo without having my butt facing the camera, but I mean, that's not the worst thing. So we're on a bit of an angle. Okay, so while you're still lying there on your back with your feet flat on the floor, you're going to take one foot and put it over the opposite knee. Now, if you have your tins handy, you can also take your tin or your block and put it down by your foot. To add a little extra stretch, you can put your foot on a block or a tin, and it just gives a little bit more stretch into that hip. And just hold it here. Just relax and breathe. Just let that hip release. Okay, good job. Now switch feet. So take the opposite foot and put the opposite foot across the opposite knee with the foot flexed. And if that's not enough stretch for you, then you can always put your foot up on that tin or a yoga block if you have one, just to kind of get a little bit deeper in there. Once again, just relaxing your upper body. And you could guide that knee away a little bit if that helps get in there a little bit, but at this point in the game, you can just relax and just feel that nice stretch. All right, take that foot down, move your block out of the way. stay where you are. And we're going to do a little yogi's choice. So you have the choice of 2 different moves. So you can just hug your knees. And in hugging your knees, you can roll a little bit. Like I know like my dimples here, they always crunch and crack. Or there's a move called Happy Baby. Happy Baby is taking your feet either on the inside or the outside of your foot. And yeah, this is Happy Baby. If you think about it, when you're changing a baby, when they're happy, they're playing, they grab their feet. It's this, yeah, but this is a really, I like this for my hips. My hips really like this position. It's a very nice release for the low back. If it feels good. If it feels bad, for heaven's sake, stop. But yeah, anyway. Just chilling like a villain in some yogi's choice for a moment. And when you're ready to come put your feet back down, and you're going to need to get your blanket. If your blanket isn't handy, I'm sorry. My blanket isn't handy. So what we're going to be doing is a rest pose, and it's called supported fish. So I'm going to demonstrate with a block what it would look like, roughly where you would put it if you had a block. So right around the bra strap region, and then you just lie back. Whoops. You got to get it in the center. And then just let that head fall back and let those arms go to the side. Now it's okay with the block, but it feels really nice with the blanket or the rolled up towel. So this time it's going to usually, if it's longer, you're going to go a little bit lower to set it up, but then you're going to come down and you're still going to have that wonderful spine curve. Like, so the top of your spine and your neck is going to be curving in a way that is the opposite of what it does all day long. Now from here, you can have your legs bent with your feet flat on the floor. You can extend your legs out straight, or you can have a little bound angle, and that's basically when your feet just touch your toes to your toes and let your knees gently go out to the sides. So whatever this looks like for you, just take a few moments here and relax in supported fish. At any point, if this becomes uncomfortable or when you've had enough, just take out what's underneath your back and go into corpse pose. I'm going to give you some time in here, and then you can go out of it as soon as you want, but I will tell you as long, like when we're going to definitely be in corpse pose. So take your time and just enjoy this release. If you haven't removed your blanket or your block, I would recommend doing that now. And then you can take the blanket, if you had it under your back, and cover your body with it. For corpse pose, I would like you just to lie flat on the floor with your arms out to your sides. And now if you can have your legs straight is fine, but if it hurts your back to have your legs straight, then just bend your knees with your feet flat on the floor. So I'm going to give you some time and space in silence to just absorb your practice and just give yourself a few more blissful moments of peace before we go back to the normal world. I will be bringing you back out with my gong in a few moments. So just melt into the floor once again.
Okay, guys, I'd like to welcome you back, and just let's take some time to start welcoming back a little bit of movement back into your body. So just as like the beginning of the class, I'd like to take an inhale and turn to one side with your head, and then exhale to the other. Inhale back. Just take a moment or two here, just exploring some more, bringing some movement back into your body. You can start doing circles with your wrists, rotating your wrists. Sounds like popcorn. All right, you can rotate your feet, point your toes. We're going to take a nice big breath in and reach way up overhead. And point your toes out really long and stretch through that body. Oh, that should feel really nice. Well, it could feel very nice. Okay, now from here, I would like you to bend your knees with your feet flat on the floor, if they're not already bent. Take one arm over your head and roll onto your right side. As you're on your right side, with your arm extended, just relax there for a moment in that side laying pose. Feel the support offered as your knees are stacked upon each other, and your head is supported by your arm. And then take your top hand and push the floor away and come up to a seated position when you're ready. So now, basically. All right, so coming up into a sitting position, we're going to sit relatively cross-legged-ish, depending on how your body works. Shoulders back, chest lifted, and I'd like to finish our class off with a chant of Om today. So basically, we put your fingers like this. So this is a mudra, right? And we just set them on set our hands on our knees. And Om is basically, it's the sound of the universe. Okay, so we use it to finish a yoga class to kind of just bring everything together. So we'll inhale to prepare, and then if you follow my lead, just sing along with me, and then and so we're going to close our eyes. Inhale to prepare. Bring your hands into prayer. Open your eyes. A little bow. Namaste. And thank you very much for joining me today. I hope that went well for you. If you want to give me any feedback, send me a message. I'm glad to hear it because it's all about learning. Okay? Thank you so much. Good night.